At the beginning of the story, we see a woman named Iris waking up from sleep. She had been sleeping next to her husband. Iris is deeply depressed because she recently lost her young son in a hiking accident. She quietly leaves the house, taking one of her son's toys with her. Her husband doesn't know she has left. She drives her car toward the forest. After parking, she climbs the hill where her son died while hiking. She has made a small memorial there for him. Whenever she brings toys from home, she leaves them at this place. After that, she keeps walking up to the top of the mountain because she wants to end her life. But before she can do it, a man named Richard appears. He says, "I know what you're about to do. I won't stop you. I just want to tell you my story so I can feel a little lighter." He tells her that when he was in college, he had a car accident. He survived, but his girlfriend died. After that, he became very depressed, but slowly he found a way to keep living. Iris says, "I am so sorry to hear that." Then she shares her own story. "I came here with my husband and my son for a hike. My husband was carving our names on a tree. At the same time, my son was looking for sticks to roast the food with. Suddenly, he slipped and fell off the hill. He died. I have never been able to forgive myself." Richard says, "I've told you what I needed to say. Now you can do whatever you want." He starts to leave. Iris has now changed her mind. She walks back down the hill to where her car is parked. Richard's car is also there. He has parked it close to Iris's car, so close that she can't open her door to get inside. As she tries to figure out what to do, Richard comes over to help her. He is holding an umbrella, but this is no ordinary umbrella. It is a special device he uses to hurt people. With one push of a button, it gives an electric shock strong enough to make someone pass out. Before Iris can react, Richard uses the umbrella to shock her. She feels a jolt of pain, and everything goes dark. When she wakes up, she realizes she is tied up inside Richard's car. Panic rises in her chest as she understands she has been kidnapped. She remembers she is wearing her smartwatch. She tries to use it to call the police, but Richard notices what she is doing. He shakes his head and says, "It's no use. There is no phone signal here." Iris feels tears in her eyes, but then she remembers something. She put a small knife in her pocket before she left home. She quietly reaches for it, hoping Richard won't notice. While she slowly tries to cut the ropes around her wrists, she decides to distract him. She says, "Can you tell me more about your girlfriend?" But Richard is too clever. He frowns and says, "I'm not going to talk about her. You think you can make me sad so you can trick me. I won't let that happen." At that moment, Iris finally cuts the rope and frees her hands. She grabs the knife and lunges at Richard, but he is faster than she expected. He catches her arm, and as they struggle, the car swerves off the road. The car crashes and tips onto its side. Both of them are thrown out onto the ground. Iris still has the knife. She points it at Richard and shouts, "If you come near me, I will kill you." But Richard just smiles coldly and says, "It's no use. I already gave you a special injection. In less than 20 minutes, your whole body will be paralyzed. You will still see and hear everything, but you won't be able to move." Iris feels fear rushing through her. She knows she has only a little time to escape. Richard says calmly, "You can try to run, but this forest is big. I will find you in 20 minutes, and then you will be mine." Iris doesn't wait another second. She sets a 20-minute timer on her watch so she can keep track of how long she has left. She begins to run, but after a while, one of her arms goes numb. Soon, one of her legs stops working too. She drags herself along the ground and hides behind the big roots of a tree, hoping Richard won't see her there. But ants crawl all over her skin, biting her. She can't stand it and has to move again. Richard spots her and starts walking toward her. Iris crawls as fast as she can and throws herself into a river. The water rushes around her, carrying her far downstream. After a while, the current slows, and she manages to grab onto the riverbank. She looks at her watch and sees she has only 1 minute left before she is fully paralyzed. With all the strength she has left, she pulls herself out of the water and onto the grass. Then her whole body stops working. She can no longer move her arms or legs. She can only stare up at the sky. She can still see, she can still hear, but she can't even lift a finger. Then an old man who owns a nearby farm comes by. He sees Iris lying there on the grass, completely exhausted and unable to move. He walks closer and tries to talk to her. "Miss, are you okay?" he asks gently, but Iris can't say anything. She can only look at him with tired, scared eyes. The old man kneels beside her and asks, "Can you see me?" Iris blinks once to say yes. He asks, "Can you move your body?" Iris blinks twice to say no. The old man understands she needs help. He brings over a small trolley, carefully lifts her onto it, and wheels her inside his house. He plans to call the police right away, but just then, there is a loud knock on the door. Iris's heart fills with fear. She knows it must be Richard. Her eyes start blinking over and over to warn the old man. He notices the panic in her face and realizes something is very wrong. Quickly, he hides Iris behind the sofa so no one can see her. Then he goes to open the door. Outside, Richard is standing there. He looks tired and worried. He asks, "Have you seen a woman? She ran away from me. Her mental condition isn't good. We had a car accident, then we argued, and she left. She always says she has strange illnesses. If you've seen her or if she came here, please tell me." The old man doesn't answer right away. He studies Richard's face. Richard keeps talking. "I don't have a phone with me, so I can't call my wife. Please, I'm just trying to find her." The old man nods slowly and says, "All right, I will call the police to help you." He steps back into the house and picks up the phone, but Richard follows him inside without asking. The old man looks at him sharply and says, "How did you come into my house without permission?" Richard suddenly starts crying. His voice trembles as he says, "Please understand. I'm so worried about her. I love her. I don't know where she is. She's not safe out there." He speaks in such an emotional way that the old man almost believes him. The old man lowers the phone and is about to tell Richard about Iris hiding behind the couch. But then, Richard's phone in his pocket starts to vibrate loudly. The old man freezes. He looks Richard in the eye and says, "You just told me you didn't have a phone, but I hear it buzzing in your pocket." Richard stops pretending. His face goes cold and hard. He says in a dark voice, "Tell me where you hid that girl, or I will kill you." The old man stands tall and says calmly, "You can try." Richard lunges at him. They start to fight. Even though he is old, the farmer is very strong. He shoves Richard back hard. Richard stumbles but spots a knife on a nearby table. He grabs the knife and attacks. The old man tries to fight back, but Richard drives the knife into him. The old man falls to the floor and stops moving. From behind the couch, Iris watches everything. She can't speak. She can't move. She can only see. Her heart fills with sadness and guilt. She knows the old man died trying to protect her. Richard knows the police will come soon because the old man managed to call them before he died. So Richard decides to burn the house to cover his tracks. He sets the house on fire and quickly leaves. Inside, Iris lies behind the couch. The medicine in her body is slowly wearing off. Her fingers begin to twitch. After a few minutes, she can move one hand. She reaches up and starts shaking the curtain on the window to signal for help. Outside, Richard is about to drive away in the old man's truck. Out of the corner of his eye, he sees the curtain moving. His face turns cold. He goes back inside and checks behind the couch. There he finds Iris, still too weak to run. Without saying a word, he lifts her up and carries her to the truck. He drives away, planning to take her to his old cabin in the woods. While driving, his phone rings. It's his young daughter calling. Her happy voice fills the truck as she says, "Daddy, I got really good marks in school. Mom and I are coming to your cabin to see you." Richard tries to keep his voice calm. "No, sweetheart, I need some time alone." But his wife takes the phone and says firmly, "I don't care what you want. We'll be there by evening." Richard grips the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turn white. He feels furious. This was not part of his plan. He was supposed to take Iris to the cabin alone. Then, as if things couldn't get worse, the truck's fuel light comes on. He runs out of fuel and has to stop at a gas station. He tries to pay for fuel with his cards, but none of them work. Annoyed, he goes inside to sort it out. Meanwhile, in the truck, Iris feels one of her legs start to move. She tries to think of a way to escape. A little boy walks up to the window and waves. "Hi," he says cheerfully. Iris wants to call for help, but her voice is still weak. Before she can say anything, the boy's mother comes over. She sees Iris slumped in the seat, barely moving, and feels that something isn't right. Just then, Richard comes back with the fuel. He quickly fills the tank, gets into the driver's seat, and drives off before the woman can ask questions. Richard heads back into the same part of the forest where his own car had crashed earlier. He tries to start the truck again, but the engine won't turn over. He decides he will tow the truck using the old man's vehicle. Before he can start, a police car pulls up. A uniformed officer steps out and walks over. "Sir, who are you?" the officer asks. Richard says calmly, "My name is Andrew." He shows the officer his real ID. His real name is Andrew. He had lied about being Richard. The officer looks suspicious. "What are you doing here? And who is the woman in your truck?" Andrew says smoothly, "She's my wife. She got very drunk. We had a fight, and she stormed off. Our car crashed. I was just trying to get help." The officer doesn't look convinced. He walks around to check the truck. Inside, Iris sees her chance. Though her voice is faint, she manages to roll down the window with her one working hand. She whispers, "Please, help me." The officer's eyes go wide. He understands she's in danger. He reaches for his radio to call for backup, but Andrew sees everything. Andrew pulls out his gun and points it at the officer. The officer tries to draw his own weapon, but Andrew rushes him, fighting with brutal force. After a short struggle, Andrew stabs him and kills him. Iris watches in horror, unable to stop any of it. Andrew drags the officer's body into the car, then sets the car on fire to destroy the evidence. Flames rise into the dark trees as he climbs back into the old man's truck. By now, Iris has managed to steal the syringe that holds the paralyzing drug. She hides it carefully, waiting for the right moment to use it on Richard. While they drive through the forest, She looks at him and says in a quiet voice, "Maybe today isn't a good day for you. Nothing is going the way you planned." Richard's face twists with anger. He glares at her and shouts, "You shut your mouth." As he is yelling, Iris sees her chance. With shaking hands, she jabs the syringe into his leg, but her thumb is still too weak to push the plunger down and inject the drug. Richard feels the needle and looks down in shock. He rips the syringe out and throws it away. His voice turns cold and cruel as he says, "I was going to take you to my cabin and have a lot of fun with you, but now my family's coming, so I'll just get rid of you here." He drives to the edge of a large, dark lake. He forces Iris to get out of the truck and pushes her into a small boat. He climbs in behind her and starts rowing to the middle of the water. Iris looks around desperately. She notices a knife lying near the side of the Richard. If she can reach it, she might have one last chance. She takes a shaky breath and says, "Please, I have my son's toy in my pocket. I want to hold it in my hand when I die. Can you take it out and put it here?" Her eyes fill with tears as she speaks. Richard stares at her for a moment, then he slowly nods. Maybe he feels a tiny bit of pity, or maybe he just wants her to stop talking. He leans closer to reach into her pocket, but as he does, Iris grabs the knife with all her strength. In one quick motion, she plunges it into his neck. Richard gasps and stumbles backward. Blood pours from the wound as he tries to grab at her. He loses his balance and falls over the side of the boat into the water. His gun is still lying in the boat. Iris snatches it up with trembling hands. Richard's head appears above the water as he struggles to breathe. He tries to swim back to the boat, his eyes wild with rage. Iris doesn't wait. She pulls the trigger again and again, firing bullets into the water. One of the shots hits Richard. He goes still and sinks below the surface. Iris sits there, gasping for breath, her body still weak and shaking. She looks around at the dark lake and the empty forest. She knows she has to get out of here, no matter what it takes. At the same time, Iris feels something she never expected. She realizes that life is very precious. It should never be thrown away so easily. But then she notices something frightening. The boat she is sitting in is filling with water. It has holes from all the bullets she fired. Water rushes in faster and faster. Her body still isn't completely normal. She is weak and can't swim properly. Soon the boat sinks under the surface, and Iris starts to drown in the cold lake. Just when she feels like she can't hold her breath any longer, the effect of the drug finally wears off. Her arms and legs start working again. With all her strength, she swims up to the surface and gasps for air. As she pulls herself to the shore, she looks across the lake. There on the other side, she sees Richard. He has somehow crawled out of the water, but he is badly hurt. He is taking his last breaths. Slowly, Iris walks to where he is lying. She kneels beside him. Their eyes meet for the last time. With a soft, tired voice, she says, "Thank you." Richard looks at her with confusion. She continues, "Because of you, I understand something now. No matter how hard life becomes, we have to keep living. We shouldn't end our lives like fools." Richard tries to speak, but no words come. His eyes close, and he is gone. Iris stands up. Her body is aching, and her heart still heavy with the pain of losing her son. But now she knows she has a reason to go on. She has a life she must live. With her husband who is waiting for her, she turns away from the lake and walks into the dawn, ready to start again. With this, the story of the film ends.